every Jamaican child must have a device, whether it is a laptop, a tablet, or a smartphone. This is the way of the future.
Help a Jamaican child access an electronic learning device. Participate in the One Laptop or Tablet initiative. Monetary donations may be made by visiting jamaicastockx.com. Persons sending devices from overseas may visit net.org.jm to get guidelines for donation. You may also call 876-967-9007 or 876-967-7962. Let's make Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business as a true digital society. Welcome to this edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm Adrian Atkinson.
Recover with integrity. Recover with integrity. We should all work together. One aim, one vision. In the fight against corruption, there is no division. United with the Integrity Commission. Let's stand up and make a healthy decision that we will not turn a blind eye. We will not cheat secret lives. We will not accept no bribes. We will not push values aside.
A message from the Integrity Commission.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, January 18, 2021. Government will be undertaking a program to issue 20,000 land titles each year. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says the program will be complemented by the building of 70,000 inexpensive housing solutions over the next 5 years. The majority of the houses will be priced at $8 million or below. Mr. Holness says these projects are part of government's approach to tackling the issue of illegal settlements.
The government is not going to countenance, sanction, or have any sympathy on squatting and illegal settlements. But at the same time, we're going to increase the availability of housing solutions and lots so that people can have access to proper habitat legally and fairly.
Prime Minister Holness was speaking on Friday as he issued 30 certificates of titles to homeowners. Recipients were from Havana Heights in Clarendon, as well as Drewsland and Seaview Gardens in St. Andrew. They received the certificates of home ownership under a program of partnership between the Housing Agency of Jamaica and the National Land Agency.
We understand the role that we have to play as a ministry in the improving of the lives and livelihood of our people. And certainly land registration is identified as a major driver of economic growth, but also very significant benefits flow from having that certificate of title. You will be able to use your title to access loans, to access formal credit.
Meanwhile, the Ministries of Housing and Economic Growth have forged a partnership that will put more land titles in the hands of Jamaicans. A working group has been formed to clear up the backlog of titles at the National Land Agency, NLA, the Housing Agency of Jamaica, HAJ, and the National Housing Trust, NHT. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Aubin Hill, says the National Land Agency will be delivering 10,096 titles by the end of 2021. Another 15,000 titles which were paid for but not delivered will be issued by the NLA within the year. Another 6,160 will be for NHT properties and 7,209 from the HAJ.
Titles are what the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation are about in terms of monetizing this relatively non-income producing asset that we call land in our country.
We will be collaborating. Collaborative governance will be driving the process so that we reduce the gaps and we do not repeat the mistakes.
Jamaica has become the first English-speaking Caribbean country to launch an Open Government Partnership, OGP. The Open Government Partnership is a forum of countries working to be more open, accountable, and responsive to citizens. At Friday's virtual launch, Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, said it was another example of government's commitment to the principles of accountability and transparency in public administration. He said Jamaica also stood to gain and learn from the various innovative approaches undertaken by other member countries, but stressed that the process would be domestically driven. The Ministry of Finance and the Public Service is the lead government entity, and Dr. Clark says the OGP multi-stakeholder consultative process will allow for the development of an OGP National Action Plan with civil society partners. The National Action Plan should be submitted in August 2021, and government will be monitoring its implementation through August 2023. The OGP process will provide better access to information on the performance of government ministries and agencies on matters of public interest. It will also ensure greater transparency on the allocation and expenditure of public resources, strengthened mechanisms to detect and address corruption in the administration of government and public bodies, and greater opportunities for citizens to participate in the determination of government priorities and monitoring outcomes. The Ministry of Education has received the first shipment of 5,000 laptops to be distributed to secondary students in grades 10 to 13 who are on the Program of Advancement through Health and Education PATH. The allocation is part of 15,000 laptops valued at $900 million that was procured by eLearning Jamaica. The remaining laptops are expected to arrive in February and March. Distribution of the electronic devices, which is to begin soon, is to be undertaken by the Post and Telecommunications Department. Each laptop is to be equipped with a device management system as an anti-theft measure.
The devices are just the beginning. We have to ensure that we continue to train our teachers to deliver on the online platform as well as in the physical world. We have to ensure that we have the support system in place for our students. If they have a problem with the device, they can call us, and that already exists. We have to ensure we have the educational software so that they can go on and we know that they're in a safe space.
eLearning Jamaica is also in receipt of 5,700 tablets to complete the rollout of the 40,000 tablets to primary schools island-wide. These will also have device management software installed. The Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology will also be installing a suite of e-learning software on the devices.
The arrival of these laptops in another initiative is another initiative of this government to facilitate learning in COVID-19 environment and to assist our students in accessing the virtual landscape.
And finally, the Rural Agricultural Development Authority, RADA, has received a backhoe from the Agriculture Ministry to provide services to the farming communities of St. Elizabeth. The backhoe is one of two, valued at approximately $38 million, purchased by the ministry with funds received under the COVID Recovery Response Program. The other excavating equipment has been assigned to Clarendon. During Friday's handing over ceremony held at the Holland Estate in St. Elizabeth, Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Floyd Green said the backhoe would provide a greater opportunity for farmers to maximize on productivity, while highlighting the importance of mechanizing the agricultural sector to make the jobs of farmers easier. He said the ministry was in the process of procuring 6 tractors to be added to the fleet across the island. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
An important message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. What to do if you think you have been exposed or are experiencing signs and symptoms of COVID-19. Immediately call 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. In addition, you should stay at home. Don't go to work, school, or any public place. Do not use public transport, and avoid visitors to your home. You may need to do this for up to 14 days to reduce the spread of the infection. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
We continue our review of 2020 by sharing highlights of the achievements in the Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change.
3,000 families access affordable housing solutions. plastic ban gains traction, and Jamaica leads authority for climate change project. Just some of the initiatives prioritized by the Ministry of Housing, Urban Renewal, Environment and Climate Change in 2020. Find out more next.
We focused a lot on adjusting the variables in terms of the offerings to increase access to affordable and safe housing.
The Ministry of Housing carried out that mandate in 2020. Through the Housing Agency of Jamaica, plans were put into motion for 3,000 families to access affordable housing. In June, ground was broken for the 1,650-unit Catherine Estates project in St. Catherine. The 772-unit Edmund Ridge community in St. James is almost complete. And the Housing Agency advanced discussions for the building of 1,200 units at Grange Pen, also in St. James.
We'll be working with the private sector as well, ensuring that we provide the support for persons who want to take the risk with their money, to invest in Jamaica, developing our country, and ensuring that we provide safe spaces for persons to own their own home or to rent.
The Jamaica Mortgage Bank also continued its partnership with private developers to build housing solutions across the island. Amendments to the Rent Restriction Act were completed. Discussions continued on the Rent Assessment Board, and stakeholder engagement was held through virtual town hall meetings.
The Rent Restriction Act is that very important piece of legislation that the government is seeking to update, to strengthen the outdated provisions and to introduce new provisions that will allow for us to better manage the relationship between landlords and tenants and to create a very clear and cogent legal framework for the operation of the rental industry in Jamaica.
The state's 3 million trees in 3 years initiative gained traction in 2020. Through the Forestry Department, 320,000 ornamental, wood, and fruit tree seedlings were planted and distributed.
Go out, plant your trees, nourish your trees, take care of them, maintain them, and ensure that we are spreading the green spaces across our beautiful island.
The department secured a commitment from Food for the Poor Jamaica to plant 1 million fruit trees and timber trees over the next 3 years. And the agency's management and conservation measures were boosted in the year with a $128 million injection from the European Union. Elsewhere, Phase 2 of the ban on plastics came into effect in 2020. It placed a ban on local manufacturing and use of polystyrene or styrofoam products used in the food and beverage industry.
We continue as well to encourage the private sector to view the measures being implemented as an economic opportunity, to look at waste as a resource by turning trash into cash. Consumers are encouraged to make informed purchases, consume products and services that are eco-friendly.
A $7 million box truck was donated for plastic collection. A cess on plastic bottles raised $628.3 million to support the deposit refund scheme set to begin in 2021. In 2020, 1,211 pounds of plastic waste was collected under the National Environment and Planning Agency's 8-week plastic recycling eco-reward pilot program. By December, NEPA and Recycling Partners of Jamaica launched a supermarket plastic recycling program. In addition to plastic collection depots being operational across the island, government stepped up its enforcement effort, and the ministry received half of a 10-year $430 million budget for Jamaica's first national program for the environmentally sound management of end-of-life pneumatic tires. Environmental protection in the cockpit country was bolstered with the ground truthing of 77.9 kilometers of land and the erection of permanent markers on 65.54 kilometers. The island's first pilot carbon assessment was executed in the Bogue 2 Forest Reserve in St. Anne, calculating an area of 32.5 tons of carbon per hectare. Work to install the country's $2.5 million Doppler weather radar at Cooper's Hill in St. Andrew continued, and 200 environmental wardens were trained under Phase 2 of the Integrated Community Development Project.
The ministry will be establishing a multi-stakeholder task force to support and advance our development agenda and to ensure that climate change adaptation efforts are sustainable, that our infrastructure developments are carried out in a resilient way.
Financing for climate change projects was ramped up in 2020 with the start of the $950 million Port Royal Revetment Initiative. Grants worth $120.3 million were assessed to finance a gender-based response project and a Caribbean green bond listing on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. The island assumed chairmanship of the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center, was declared lead national authority for the Green Climate Fund's $1.2 million U.S. civil society organizations project, co-chaired the Nationally Determined Contributions Partnership for the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, and hosted a virtual session of the Youth Environmental Advocacy Program.
I want to challenge them to become the innovators. As you listen to some of the problems that have been highlighted by our presenters, these things create opportunities for persons who can innovate and invent to create sustainable solutions. To every problem there's a solution, and so I challenge and encourage all of you who are here and all who are listening to be the ones to solve or to help to solve those problems. If we come together and partner with purpose, there's nothing that we can't overcome.
The Ministry of Transport and Mining remains committed to being the driving force behind a sustainable and reliable transport system.
Renewing your driver's license is being simplified and facilitated by just a click. Road improvements continued in all the crevices and corners of the island, and Jamaicans in the merchant shipping industry are positioned to work and live in added comfort. Many developments came out of the Ministry of Transport and Mining in 2020, so join the Jamaica Magazine team as we share those triumphs with you.
Over 272,000 seedlings have been disbursed under government's 3 Million Trees in 3 Years initiative. What is it all about? Catch the details next.
Climate change is real. We must address it in order to secure our future. Our children are depending on us.
And so the government has launched an initiative which will see a tree being planted for every Jamaican on the island. These 3 million trees will be planted over a 3-year period across the length and breadth of Jamaica land we love.
Planting trees, of course, is one of the ways in which Jamaica is taking deliberate, strategic, and decisive action to mitigate the effects of climate change.
The program will be managed by the Forestry Department with support from the European Union's Development Fund.
€1 million of the total amount will be specifically dedicated to reforestation and maintenance of degraded lands, with special attention to species that are indigenous to Jamaica.
Our aim is to improve the resilience of our coasts, hillsides, and plains, while also improving the beauty of our urban centers, major thoroughfares, parks, and the added effect of offsetting greenhouse gas emissions.
All the trees that we are planting over the next 3 years will be for nothing if we don't deal with the issue of the degradation of the forests. Ladies and gentlemen, if our forests are cut down without regard for sustainable forest management, we all know that our watersheds and our water supply challenges will worsen.
The 3 Million Trees initiative will focus on 3 main areas.
It would be one that protects our coast, including mangroves, one that does general forestation, one that includes urban forestation, and on the other side,
so we're going to have a national fruit tree planting program of 3 million fruit trees to be planted as well.
In addition to 1,000 Hope interns that will benefit under the program, employment opportunities will be provided for persons from communities adjacent to areas to be planted.
2 million timber seedlings will be planted on over 3,000 hectares of land managed by the Forestry Department. The department will distribute the remaining plants, a mixture of timber and ornamentals, to the public.
We want to get more of the private sector adopting hillsides. These are lands that we manage, that we want to just take charge and be responsible for the maintenance of all of that.
To ensure that the seedlings remain viable and transition into healthy forest, a mobile app using GPS technology is being finalized. This private-public sector partnership will see the monitoring and tracking of the plant's progress.
Because it's nice that we plant the trees today, we take a lot of pictures and everything, but what happened to those trees afterwards? So we really want everybody to ensure that the trees we plant today, we return to them, ensure that they are still growing, and check on the trees we planted last year.
We are taking a different approach with this project to ensure its success. Over the next 3 years, we will be rolling out different aspects of the initiative through public education campaigns focused on the preservation of the environment.
The challenge has been thrown out. Will you answer the call? Will you dedicate a portion of your land for planting trees? Will you adopt a hillside to stop landslides? Will you ensure that the trees you've planted are nurtured? We can do it. We should do it. We must do it.
It is hope that this action will ignite in every single Jamaican the understanding, the will and the commitment to play their part in securing Jamaica's environment and making Jamaica the place of choice to live, work, raise families, do business, and retire in paradise.
Small businesses like mine continue to serve the needs of people.
We all play a part in keeping the wheels of our economy turning, and we do so responsibly.
We are building forward
together.
As some of our children return to face-to-face learning, let's arm them with the necessary information about the COVID-19 virus.
Wash your hands frequently and maintain a 3 to 6 feet distance from persons.
Families across the country are adapting to the evolving changes in daily life caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. Most schools, places of public gathering, and non-essential businesses are closed, and parents and other caregivers are faced with helping families adjust to the new normal. This includes trying to keep children adequately informed during the outbreak. If you want to know how you can ensure that your children are equipped with the right amount of information they need about COVID-19, follow these next steps. The first thing you have to do is make time to talk to them. Talk to your children daily about the latest news and updates, and be sure to let them know that they can come to you if and when they have questions. When talking to children, ensure that you use words and sentences that are most suitable for their age group. This is the only way to ensure that the child receives and understands the information being shared. Let your children develop the habit of watching the news with you, but ensure that the information is credible and that information overload does not occur, because this can lead to anxiety. The outbreak of the coronavirus has brought with it numerous reports of racial discrimination around the world and general misinformation. So, it's important to check that your children are neither experiencing nor contributing to bullying. Make time to clarify all rumors and discriminatory claims. Explain to children how they can stay safe during the period. Talk to them about the importance of a balanced diet, social distancing, hand washing, sanitization, and other important safety measures. Children may inevitably become worried about all the changes happening around them due to COVID-19, but it is your duty as parents to assure them that steps are being taken every day to keep them safe. Impress upon them that, rather than be worried, they should be prepared.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a two-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
That's all the time we have here on this station. Be sure to join us again tomorrow around about the same time for another information-packed program. We are available online at your convenience. Our website, YouTube channel, and pages on all the major social media platforms are up and running. There's also our mobile app that can be downloaded from your smart device's app store. On behalf of the entire team here at the JIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.